Evolutionary or Hardcore 2.0 episode 147 is coming your way. Today we're talking about thoughts on IIFYM style dieting presented by Beligas. So look, in this one, we are going to talk about several different things with IIFYM. We're going to explain what it is. We're going to talk about does it work or not and why. We're going to talk about dangers of IIFYM on steroids. We're going to talk about importance of food prep. We're going to talk about steroid cycle ideas with healthy food. And we're talking about Belagas quality gear. And let's first start with what IIFYM is. And look, it stands for, it's much easier to say what it stands for than it is to just name each letter. And it stands for, look, if it fits your macros. And the idea behind this was people who think that they can just eat what they want when they want, and it's not going to make a difference in terms of their health or how they feel or how they sleep or the steroids they're on or anything like that. And the where it says if it fits, that has to do with calories. So I'll give you the crude example, the fringe example of what it means in real world terms. It basically means instead of eating healthy food, let's say you're trying to get 3,000 calories a day, instead of getting 3,000 calories of sweet potatoes, brown rice, chicken, good, well prepped chicken, grass fed beef, and then getting some broccoli or asparagus and maybe like a piece of pineapple. Instead of eating that to get your 3,000 calories every day, you're getting 3,000 calories from cake, ice cream, fast food, all day. So, and there's literally people in America and that are eating, and it happens a lot. America, Canada. Canada is very notorious for this because of the cold climate. I know people who live in Canada, they literally don't even have access to fresh food. It's all packaged, it's all frozen because the climate doesn't allow them during the cold winter months. Everything is shut down. The roads are shut down. You might not even be able to get a delivery to your town because it's snowed in and it's iced down. And literally, the only thing you can eat is things that are processed, things that are in your freezer. And so they have no choice but to eat these junky foods. So that's the idea behind if it fits your macros, but it's been kind of hijacked by these online gurus, and I think a big part of it is they want clicks. They want to show on their Instagram page, "Hey, look at what I'm eating every day. I'm going and I'm eating this, 5 burgers, Big Macs with all these fries, and I'm drinking a soda, and look at all this sugar I'm getting, and look how I look. I still look like I'm ripped." You hear stories of competitive bodybuilders who, they eat McDonald's leading up to their show, and they brag about it. Yeah, look at me. I know what I'm doing. I'm eating McDonald's ahead of my show, and they want you out. What they want to do is they want to sucker in a lot of you out there who are trying to lose weight or trying to get in better shape by making you think that you can get away with eating those foods. I think that's part of it. And a lot of it is clickbaity. A lot of it is that. There's no excitement going on Instagram and seeing someone eating brown rice, chicken, and broccoli, every meal. There's no excitement in that, but there's excitement seeing a big pizza. Like they went out to eat and they ordered this huge pizza and they down the whole pizza. I've seen guys say that. Oh yeah, I eat one whole pizza every Sunday and I'm fine. Look how skinny I am. I've seen that. And I'm gonna explain later in the show why, even if you're skinny, it doesn't mean shit when it comes to what your health inside. You're dying on the inside, but you look skinny. Because here's the dumb mentality of a lot of people out there, and a lot of bodybuilders have this stupid mentality: is they think what I look like on the outside is what I look like on the inside. And a lot of times it's the opposite. A lot of times they're literally dying on the inside. But when they look in the mirror and they flex, they see someone that looks amazing, muscular, vascular, ripped, six pack. But on the inside, they're dying. On the inside, they're taking years off their life. Look at Zizzy. If you don't know who that is, Google him. ZYZZ. He was what, 21, 22 when he died? But he looked
Yep,
fantastic on the outside. But on
yep.
the inside, his heart, he aged his heart by 60, 70 years.
Stims, mate, Stims, and Clen, and God knows what else. And people were idolizing this guy with his twist in his waist, an amazing looking physique, Steve. And people still mention him now. And I'm going, you do mean the dead Z, the dead this, the dead that? You're referring to people that have passed away. They are dead. Dallas McCarver, you and I, you just literally said, Steve, people that looked amazing. I watched a little mini documentary made by YouTube the other day, 25, 30 minutes of Dallas McCarver, 8 plates this and 7 plate that, an immense strength, 10 plates aside on the hack squat, stupidly strong. Everybody talking about how he was going to be the next great white hope, the next thing, a future Mr. Olympia. Boom, dead. Dead for 2 reasons. Genetic, which arguably was also Z's thing, medical issues, but Z and Dallas made that fucking medical condition worse by
Yeah.
what they were doing. And literally fucking in Dallas McCarver's case, huge amounts of drugs, which we've seen the list of the death
And
cycles.
look, here's my thing on this, okay? And we have studies to back this up. They've done European studies to back this up. The whole blaming genetics for this. Look, eventually Zizzy and Dallas McCarver would have died of whatever genetics they have. Mobster and I, we have genetic issues. I was born with something called IBS, which never got properly disclosed to me growing
Absolutely,
up.
Steve.
And if I
Absolutely.
had continued eating wrong, I would drastically shorten my life due to that IBS. Mobster, I'm sure, has some genetic markers wrong. He's English, and English people bred amongst each other, and they cause
Well,
genetic marker.
You
So
and I did a show the other day, Steve.
let me finish what I was saying. But here's the thing. Eventually, Mobster and I are going to die of whatever genetically we're prone to. But the question is, do we speed it up? In Zizzy's case, he sped it up. He was supposed to
Yes.
die at 60, maybe 70, maybe 80 years
Yes.
old of
Yes.
whatever, but he sped it up into his early 20s. So did Dallas
Yeah.
McCarver. When they did the autopsy on Dallas McCarver, they found cancer in his body, and he was only, what, 27, 28, or whatever?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Less than 30.
So he would have eventually gotten cancer. And but the thing is, what he did sped it up. So this is what we're trying to explain to you on this podcast is how to we want to show you how to properly take care of your body, how to safely cycle steroids. And we're going to talk about Beligas steroids in this podcast. And we're not telling you to go and abuse Beligas steroids like these guys did, but we're telling you run them smart and run them the right way and nourish your body with nutritious food, not with junk food. And that will allow you to live a long and normal life. Look at Arnold. He's still alive and going. He's freely admitted to using steroids. He's alive and going. He's accomplished a lot of things. He's still doing movies. He was governor for 8 years. He's done a lot of shit as he's gotten older. If he had went and gone balls to the wall when he was younger and died at 25, he would have never accomplished any of these things. Sylvester Stallone, he's still alive and going, and he's abused steroids in his past. A lot of these guys. So there is a way to do this where you don't literally take decades off your life and end up, having to do an autopsy. Go ahead, Monster. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll start with the thing that kind of made it happen in the first place. And it's the problem is you're presenting a lie. Okay. So I remember specifically, I think it was RX muscle or muscular development. I'm going to say muscular development on the forums. And it's one particular person stands out in my feeble old man's brain as being huge on the if it fits your macros, the IIFYM. And this particular person had good genes for small waist, good genes for maintaining a six pack. And there's also the element of coming across in a knowledgeable guru like way. Now, Ironic, of course, me saying this because Steve and I are trying to put out information on doing certain particular things in a certain particular way. But what we're trying to do, as best as Steve and I possibly can, for all of these shows, is give you some sort of real life truth, not quite that sexy, not quite that clickable in terms of clickbait or whatever kind of information. But it was one of the things that happened back in the day is that people, we almost joked about this. In fact, I'm sure there's podcasts and YouTube videos on this very thought process where the idea of any subject matter, you could appear to be older than you was and more knowledgeable you was, especially if you was good at copying and pasting from other pages, from other forums, and especially Wikipedia. I'm an expert. And in reality, the joke was almost that you're sitting in your grandma's basement, fat as a fucking house, and you're 15 years of age. Your bollocks haven't even dropped yet. But you could appear online with a six-pack avatar, with a more mature face, etc., 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 and come across as a pseudo expert to all the newbies, and especially the newbies, Steve. So in today's society, and even more so from when this actually started, the reality of the situation is quite simply that people do not eat properly. There's a great argument for poverty, which we're not going to get into too much, saying, oh, I can only afford ready meals. Fresh fruit and vegetables is that much more expensive? No, it's just that you'd have to shop more frequently. I'd argue that potatoes, carrots, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, etc., no more or less expensive than it has been for years relative to everything else. It's almost like a false economy. So, and there's ways that we've done on shows about buying bulk and going to wholesalers and so on and so forth and working out relationships with food suppliers where you're buying 20 pounds of potatoes and 40 or 50 chicken breasts at a time and so on and so forth as a way of saving money. Right. So the idea was what these experts, Steve, is you'd have someone who appeared to have a six pack and a small waist going, I eat whatever the fuck I like. And I look like this. And it created a false image. And the image is you can eat whatever the fuck you like and you can look like this. Where are those people now, Steve? You literally just described, as I agreed with you, two people with amazing genetics who are both fucking dead. I would love to see the shape of the person that was banging this particular drum on muscular development back in the day. Let's see what you look like now. Have you been eating shit for the last 5, 10 years since I saw that? More than 10 years, 12 years, 13 years. You're going to be in your late 20s, early 30s now. Let me see you. Let me see what you look like now. Can you go out there to the young guys, 15, 16, 17, that are just starting in the gym? Never mind the PEDs. And show me your physique now, because I guarantee you, if you've been eating shit, if it fits your macros for the last 15 years, you're going to be as fat as a fucking house.
I can recall, I don't follow the fitness industry as much anymore because I
No.
can't
Oh, man,
handle.
it's too much, man. We got
Yeah, I
stuff to
can't
do. We've got
handle the
work.
drama and the
Yeah.
ignorance. It's a bunch
It's
of
too much every day, man. Yeah, we've got
well, it's
actual work to do
yeah,
like this.
yeah. Well, the thing is, it's clickbait, and they've turned into like these former bodybuilders. I'm not gonna mention names. You know who
No.
they are. Mobster knows who they
Yeah.
are. But they've turned
Yeah.
into gossiping church girls, and that's not helping people. And they've been exposed.
It helps their
Yeah,
traction and it gets them
yeah,
views, but it's not good for the industry.
yeah. I'm gonna lose my train of thought. But what was I trying to say? Okay. So anyway, I'll give you an example. They don't have knowledge on any of the stuff that Mobster and
No.
I talk about on these podcasts. So they have to talk about other things. And this is a
Yes.
perfect example. But on the flip side, and I'm not defending the industry or anything, on the flip side, I've seen a few of these guys who used to push IIFYM. And I've seen them. And by the way, I talked about in the last segment about it fitting the calories. It's not just fitting calories, it's fitting actual macros, which is literally in the name. So in that
Yeah.
situation, you would be, if you're supposed to get this much fats per day, this much carbs per day, this much protein per day, you're getting
Yeah.
it from poor quality foods. So hey, I'm at the end of the day, I'm getting my 300 grams of protein. That's my goal, but I'm getting it from Big Macs, fried chicken from KFC, all this other
Yeah.
junk food, Chick-fil-A chicken, whatever. It's all junk food, and I'm getting it from that. So hey, it fits my macro, so I'm good for the day. They don't account for the other garbage that they're putting in their body. So we're gonna get into that in a second. But look, before I lose my train of thought, we've seen these guys pushing IFYM. They've tried it for like a couple months and they realize, wow, I feel like shit on this diet. And they're like, man, I can't sleep well anymore. I can't function. My workouts suck. This is not working. So they've literally
The skin gets shot, the hair gets greasy, you're breathing, God, the fumes are coming out. Steve, and if you've been fit,
your
yeah.
bowel movements
Oh
are
God,
screwed
man,
up.
yeah.
You're getting constipation, you're getting diarrhea. It's not normal bowel movements. It's either too wet or too dry. And
Mm.
because your gut health goes, you're every day you wake up in the morning, you look at yourself in the mirror and it looks like you're pregnant. And it's like, oh my God, what's going on with me? Like, what's going on? I'm getting the same calories as I was before. I'm getting the same protein, carbs, and fats as I was before. What the hell is going on here? Because your body on the inside is suffering. You're taking 2.5 million years of evolution, human evolution, of
Yes,
eating
yes,
foods. Now you're eating foods that our body never has seen before. That's made in a factory and it's made this way to, restaurants need to make money. They can't sell food, fresh food. They're going to lose money. Imagine if you were, let's say you open up your own Subway franchise, and there's videos out there of people who talk about this because they got really excited. They fell into the scam of opening up a restaurant franchise. Restaurant franchises are extremely competitive. The profit margins are extremely tight. So you're literally having to work 80 hours a week in the restaurant from open to close yourself rather than having to hire a manager because the manager is going to have to be paid and you're going to basically have to do the work for two or three employees yourself, right? And manage everything. So anyway, how are you making a profit at that Subway franchise? You think you're going to make the profit by selling fresh food, or are you going to make a profit by selling processed junk that's going to be good for a long time sitting in the fridge? You got to wait for people coming in and buy the food. Then you're going to have more food waiting. If there's too many people that show up that day, you're going to run out of food. And if you don't have enough people show up, then the food's going to go bad. You see? So you can't win either way. So you've got to have processed food. You can't open up a restaurant, a healthy restaurant, and make it. You're not going to be able to make money off of it. That would be something you'd have to do like as a charity thing, just for the good of the of your community. Oh, I'm going to open up a restaurant chain that only sells um, healthy food. Well, guess what? You're going to have to charge a lot more, and you're not going to have people that are going to want to work there because there's not going to be any profit margin on healthy food, but there's a lot of profit margin on crappy food. So it's all about the money at the end of the day. So you've got to realize that. So we're going to talk about food prep in the next segment. But look, does it work or not, and why? It doesn't work. You can try it out yourself. Try it for a week. See how you feel. If you feel like shit every day, you're not going to be able to sleep well. You're not going to be able to train. You're causing damage in your body that you can't see. That's another thing. Bodybuilders, in their mind, if I'll use Rich Piana as an example, mobster, he suffered from bigorexia. Okay. And bigorexia means he wanted to just continue getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And he couldn't stand to lose even a millimeter off his bicep. He would really get upset and cry about it. So he wanted to just continue getting bigger and bigger. And in the process, he's going to eat a lot of junky foods. And he's going to take a lot of stuff that he shouldn't be taking to get himself where he wants to go. And in the process, you're causing damage on the inside. Literally, he was dying on the inside. And unfortunately, there's really nothing that you can do when you age yourself like that. You can take heart medication, you can take cholesterol medication, you can take medication to lower your blood pressure. But at the end of the day, there's going to be damage to your cells in your body. And your entire body is going to end up just dying on the inside. And that's what happens. And he was on a lot of these medications, but it still was not enough. It was enough to keep him alive for as long as he was alive, but eventually it's all going to come crashing down. So look, at the end of the day, don't do IIFYM. And not only do you have to avoid if it fits your macros, you also have to do even a better job when it comes to your nutrition, a better job than you would suspect when it comes to your nutrition. Master?
Yes, yes. I mean, look, guys, it is not sexy. It doesn't get great traction. I know. I can even think of an example, Steve, where it got a lot of hits for a buddy of mine, for him and another strongman training partner to go and sit in a restaurant. And I believe the challenge to eat 100 ounce of roast beef. And they got loads and loads of views. It was fun to watch. But that's not what you eat on a daily basis. And the reality of the situation, I'm literally in the pre-show, I said to Steve, you can right now, he's actually doing quite well with his training logs and his videos, etc. Samson Dualda, the current 2024 until this year's competition, Mr. Olympia, Samson Dualda. We've done shows on Samson. We've talked about him on other shows. Literally in the video that I watched yesterday, I think he's putting 2 or 3 out a week, Steve. He has a real full-size, bordering on commercial grill. It's quite cold here still in the UK, so he's got his hoodie up. He's standing out in the garden, and he talks about going to Macro on another video. It's a big food discount place, buying a month's supply at a time, and then cooking up, I think it's 2 weeks worth of chicken breast at a time. You can watch him do it. You can watch him season the meat. It is not sexy. It's just a fucking shitload of chicken breast, lean, skinless, slightly seasoned under this grill. The whole video is fun, but the idea that if you wanted to just watch him cooking food, Steve and I have talked about this, a rice cooker, a steamer, a slow cooker, etc., etc. You would all you'd be watching would be him cooking sweet potatoes, him cooking broccoli, him cooking chicken breast, him trimming the fat off a piece of steak. And it would be the same on the next video, and the same on the next video, and the same on the next video. And why is he doing it? Because he wants to win the fucking Arnold Classic this year. He literally wants to do the double whammy, the Mr. Olympia and the Arnold. The last time anybody done that was Ronnie Coleman, Steve, in the same fucking year. And he wants to do that. He wants $1 million for winning the 2 competitions in combination. As one part of the video was, how do you feel? He says, I feel fucking awful. It's dragging. If you think I'm not obsessing about food, you're much mistaken. It's been 7 or 8 weeks. All I'm thinking about is crap food. Well, what am I doing? I'm eating clean and have been eating clean for the last 8 weeks. I believe there's 3 weeks to go. So it's chicken breast and rice and broccoli. So again, look, we talked about certain people back in the day having great genetics for being slim. I'd love to see them now, as I said already. Samson Dualda has arguably, and I've used Dexter Jackson as an example in the past, Steve, and other people, some of the best genetics, because he must have, because he's Mr. Olympia, for gaining muscle. The best response to PEDs, the best response to training, and the best response to nutrition. Now, assuming that he has some of the best genetics on the planet, and I think that's a given, why the fuck is he not eating in accordance with if it fits your macros? Why is he not eating junk food? Why is he not getting his carbs from ice cream? Why is he not getting his protein from McDonald's? Why is he not getting his fats from the crap that's been added into the sauces by eating out? Why? Because he knows that he will get a better response and will look better and will look leaner. And arguably, in spite of the fact that he's got some cravings right now, physically feel better. The vitamin mineral intake will be better. The hair and the skin will look better. The eyes will look better. The fingernails will look better. All the little indicators for health will look better. With great genetics, might even come good things with lipid profiles and so on and so forth. And again, and that's actually this with Steve in the pre-show saying, if you're going to take powerful hormones, i.e. anabolic steroids, at the professional level, it's going to be 2 grams, 3 grams, 4 grams, 5 grams a week, then you cannot at the same time double down by eating shit. And the reality is, and we'll touch on this as well, because we're going to talk about a little bit about logs, Steve, is every single person, and we've talked about logs on a log specific show, that we've seen have the best results with a training cycle, with a PED cycle, using products like the ones you can buy from Beligas, The ones that have the best outcome, the best results, look the best from start to finish, are the ones with clean prepped food, the ones that are posting up the healthy food every single day. I want to touch on one more point on this particular regards, and again, it associates with this. And I mentioned it again to Steve in the pre-show. I said we had a member on the forums, and I think he did end up cleaning up his act, but he was using an app to log his food, just scanning the barcodes. And unfortunately, what that meant was the app, including what he posted under the forum, named the brand of this piece of food, this drink, where that fruit come from, and so on and so forth. And there wasn't one single thing listed that didn't have a brand name associated, which meant he was getting everything from the supermarket ready made, whether it was bacon or beef or whatever else. There was nothing that didn't have ingredients added to it. He'd done no from scratch, not one aspect of from scratch food prep. And the moment we said, look, you will get better results if you do what everybody else is doing. I mean, there's almost an argument to be made here, Steve, that we're all of us, I'm going to include you, me and you, we're all kind of looking in some ways for certain little shortcuts, the best program, the best diet, and so on and so forth. But the reality is that you and I have been doing this long enough, and we put out this honest information on the shows, like this show we're doing right now. By learning, there are some things you can cut short. That might be, for example, rehabbing to recover quicker from the gym, stretching, doing yoga, fasting from time to time, like Steve's a big fan of, doing certain particular things, not letting gaining too much weight, etc., etc. But for the most part, it's slow and steady gains, boring diets, and enjoying the grind, enjoying the fact that you can cope with this stuff and no one else can. So you can eat the chicken breast and you can cook
Yeah.
the rice and still do it and succeed and know that you succeed because you was able to bite the fucking bullet and get through it. So I think, and I said this already, just the time with the next thing, Steve, if it fits your macros, needs to fucking die. Can't.
Yeah, and what Mobster's saying, look, the guy on the log, he went from eating 100% processed food because to him that's normal. He grew up eating that type of food. He grew up going to restaurants. I know so many people, they take their kids to restaurants just about every day, okay, for dinner. Just about every day. They come home from work, they take a shower, they change from a long day at the office, they get their family together, they drive down to the restaurant and they eat. Literally every fucking day they do that. So when you grow up doing that as an adult, you think that that's normal. So as an adult, now you want to go out, get all your food from going out. I know people who don't even use their kitchen. They literally just go breakfast, lunch, dinner. They go out to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner. So long story short, with this guy, we educated him and said, look, instead of getting all your foods processed, switch to getting natural. We're going to talk about importance of food prep on the next segment, but he was able to really get out of his body's way. And this leads into this topic, which is the dangers of IIFYM on steroids. And this is a perfect example. If you're going to get the most out of your Beligas cycle, okay, you need to get the fuck out of its way. And if you're eating all this junky, if it fits your macros food, the pizza, the ice cream, the fast food, and you're getting all this crap into your body, you're going to get in its way and your body is not going to be able to get the best results. All the cellular damage you're doing, every time you eat something unhealthy, think about it this way: you're damaging cells in your muscles, you're damaging cells in your organs, you're damaging cells in your skin, as Monster talked about earlier, you're damaging cells on your scalp. Every fucking cell in your body from head to toe, you're damaging when you eat junky foods. So imagine if you go from eating junky foods to eating healthy foods, how much more gains would you get on steroids versus
Yeah.
not? I'll give you an example when it comes to the dangers. Let's say you want to run Beligas Tren, and Beligas has amazing Tren options. They've got ACE, E, mixes, blends with other steroids. They got an amazing Tren. I've used their Tren. It's fantastic. But here's the thing: if I was eating every day junk food, okay, and going to the supermarket and getting processed food from the supermarket instead of getting the fresh food of the supermarket and making my own food, And if I was eating all this refined oils and putting all these refined oils in my body, on top of taking the trend, guess what would happen? I'd clog up my heart so fast. Okay. Because when you use anabolic steroids, especially something like tren that's very, very harsh, you're already, and if you don't believe me, you can try it out yourself and you'll see this. Run blood work while you're on tren. You'll see your cholesterol levels are fucked up. You can get your blood pressure taken. Your blood pressure can go from perfectly healthy blood pressure to high blood pressure. Your heart rate, your resting heart rate is going to go up. It's going to be harder for you to sleep. Okay, even if you went from sleeping perfect on trend, it's going to affect your sleep one way or the other. You're going to feel energy drop while you're on trend. You're going to be dehydrated all the time on trend. So you've got to do the things the correct things while you're on trend. You got to drink plenty of water and you got to eat a healthy, consistent diet while you're on trend. This way you keep these numbers under control. It's not going to prevent these numbers from being off because these are very powerful hormones, but it will keep things under control. So, more importantly, you don't cause a tremendous amount of damage while you're on your cycle. And also, importantly, when you come off, your numbers are able to normalize very, very quickly. I tell people this all the time. They always message me and they're freaking out like, Steve, I'm on cycle. My cholesterol levels are off.
Yes.
My doctor's
Yes.
freaking out. My kidney numbers are off. My liver numbers are off. I'm like, dude, calm down.
One cycle,
Calm
yeah.
calm down. It's normal on cycle for some of these numbers
Yes.
to be off. Not too off, but if they're off a little bit, that's okay. When you come off, they should normalize. But if you're eating a bad diet,
Yes.
they may not normalize. They may stay bad because you're getting all this junky food. So go ahead, Mobster.
This the good example I think is, Steve, which I've used on other shows. Let's imagine you are fortunate enough in life to be in this particular position, listener. Okay, so you have your day-to-day car. The wife uses it for shopping, you use it to go to work. But you also have your pride and joy. And for some particular reason, Steve, maybe you had a small lottery win, maybe you worked really, really hard, and you've saved up and you've bought a new sports car. Let's use Ferrari. Fuck it, Steve. You spent $200,000 for what might arguably be a baseline, the cheapest 182. That's probably what it cost, Steve. Would you put normal fuel in? No. Would you put normal oil in? No. Would you put tap water in? No. You would, and in fact, if you did, and you took it for a fucking service, the Ferrari mechanic would look at you with like sort of evil in his eyes. What the fuck have you been doing to this car? Now, here's the thing, and this is how kind of fucked up that if it fits your macros can be, Steve. You have one, you can own multiple cars. In the example I've just given you, you're only two, but you've only got the one fucking body. And you're supposed to be treating your body, in my case, Steve, like a big, heavy fucking truck moving massive fucking shit around. Like a sort of road train thing or a tank transport or something. 80 tons on the fucking back, let's move. And I would still need to keep that vehicle serviced. It's a specialist vehicle. In the Ferrari example, you would literally baby that fucking car, especially if you spent all your life saving up the money to buy the goddamn car in the first place, Steve. You wouldn't treat it like a moron. You would baby that car. The kids wouldn't be allowed in there, maybe just the one time. You can't wear those jeans, you're going to ruin the leather. You'd get it valeted. You'd have it, it would be mint, it would be the one that you clean all the time. You would treat that sports car better than most people treat their bodies. You just would. It cost you millions of hours of overtime, thousands of bucks, things, holidays you couldn't go on just to save up the money to buy the goddamn car. And yet at the same time, you're trying to imagine that eating crap is going to build you a sports car like body that can do nearly 200 miles an hour and purrs like a baby with that V8 or that V12 or even V16 in the back, Steve. Literally can't happen. You'd wonder while the engine is ticking over and it sounds like a piston is firing. You're driving down a road, and black smoke's coming out the back because you put the wrong fuel in, the wrong oil in. The mechanic, what's the Italian mechanic, Steve? The Ferrari mechanic is screaming at you. What have you done? What have you done? This beautiful car. You wouldn't do it to yourself. And yet people do. And that's kind of what If It Fits Your Macros is. You want to have a sports car body, or in my case, a train transport body. Did you have to do the things that require you to look after that car or that tank transport a body? You cannot treat it like the family car. You cannot treat it like a little SUV that you take to the mall, pick up the shopping in from the supermarket, take the kids to school in. It's not that kind of car. And you want that kind of car. You want that kind of body. And as I said, in the examples that I've given already, there are more, even with their great genetics, and even pushing the powerful hormones, which we're going to talk about, and the anabolic, estrogenic, cutting, bulking, etc. effects that great products like Beligas can offer you, give you, you will get better results if your diet is on point. And we can prove that by literally looking at the truthful. Samson's a good example. Super boring to watch, but this is what needs to be done to be the best bodybuilder, or in this case, as the example is, the best sports car. If they need to do it, you need to do it. It's boring. It's not sexy. It doesn't get the traction, but it is what it is. I've seen too many examples in real life. Never mind on the internet. Never mind in the magazines, documentaries, or whatever else. If it fits your macro, Steve, works, how come? How come all those my 600-pound body people aren't 600 pounds of muscle when all they're doing all day long is eating junk? Yes, they don't get enough exercise, but that's part of that's because they weigh 600 fucking pounds. Come on, guys, you cannot. There is no fairy godmother,
So
and
it's yeah.
unless you are literally blessed with the best genetics out of every
So
single person on this planet, you cannot get away with it.
so let's talk about oral steroids and the way they strain your liver. So yeah, Beligas has amazing oral options to pick from, and they're clean and they're high quality. But if you're eating a poor diet and you're drinking alcohol, you're going to cause a buildup of fat in the liver. And we know that fast food or processed food, which is the core of if it fats your macros, is going to lead to fat buildup in the liver as well. So not only are you stressing your liver out, making it hard on your liver from using the steroids, but now you're adding the food on top of it. Why are you holding yourself back? Stop doing that. This is why you have poor energy eating these junky foods, is because you're straining your liver. And a smart man once told me that energy issues, okay, from people in America and from people in Canada, North America, is caused by all this processed food and all this junky food. And it's true. It's because if your liver is having a hard time, it's going to have no energy. Just like when you have a night out drinking and the next day you got to get up early at 5 o'clock to go to work and you're like, I can't get out of bed. I got a hangover. Well, why do you think that happens? It's because you just put your body through fucking hell. So how are you supposed to build muscle and build strength and have success using these anabolic steroids when that happens? Same thing with the kidneys. Poor quality food, the processed meats, the sausage, the bacon, the fast food burgers smothered in oil and that are like who knows what's in those beef patties. It's all fake. It's all fake shit that they have shipped in frozen and then they cook it when it gets to the place. That causes kidney strain. They're hard to metabolize by the kidneys, so your kidneys have to do even more work. And when you use anabolic steroids, now the issue happens. I can't tell you how much blood work I've looked at for people who have never even used steroids, who have liver strain and kidney strain, who have never even touched steroids because of their diets. Their diets are already shitty. Now you're throwing steroids on top of it. You're only holding yourself back. Let me talk about food prep now, Mobster. We gotta talk about food prep. Let me tell you something. I
Yep.
listen. A couple places I hear bodybuilders eating a lot at. I'm gonna call these places out. The first one is Chipotle. I don't know if you guys have a lot of Chipotles in Britain, Momster, but in America and Canada,
A handful now.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all over the place in America. And a lot of people after the gym, they go to eat Chipotle. For some reason, they think Chipotle is healthy. The food itself is healthy. I mean, you're talking about guacamole, avocado, you're talking about, the cut chicken, the cut beef, whatever, and the vegetables. That can be healthy, but the oils that they're using to cook the food is not healthy. Okay. And what they do when they use these oils, sunflower oil, these oils, okay, if you look up sunflower oil, it may look like, wow, sunflower oil, it's a healthy oil, it's got good things in it. But the way that it's refined and the other things that are in it are absolutely disastrous. And the saturated fats and the hydrogenated oils are absolutely going to go straight to your arteries. They're absolutely going to increase your bad cholesterol. Really, really bad for you. Another one, Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A is all over America. And I've had people, these dumbasses, some bodybuilders that actually argue this with me. They're like, Steve, you don't know what you're talking about. Chick-fil-A has chicken. How is chicken bad for you? Well, first of all, the chicken that they sell is low quality chicken on a low quality diet. So you're getting the polyunsaturated fats that go straight to your arteries. They also cook their food in refined peanut oil, which is absolutely disastrous. Um, Now, the reason they use that is because they can cook it at high heat, and it keeps a nice flavor to it. It's um, and when they refine the peanut oil, it can become non-allergenic for a lot of people. And it's really a great way to cook the food to get rid of the pathogens and the bacteria and stuff. But here's the sad thing: peanut oil is extremely high in unhealthy fats, and it's been linked to health problems across the board. This is why when you walk into a Chick-fil-A or you see people leaving a Chick-fil-A, which I would never even walk into one, but when you see people leaving, they all look fat, they all have chronic conditions. So when you're lifting weights and you're using steroids, what do you think happens to your joints? All these bad oils fuck your joints up. All these bad oils clog up your arteries. All these bad oils cause problems like obesity and other issues. So never eat at any of these places, guys. Any fast food restaurant, these two are notorious because I see a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of people who work out go eat at these places. They get addicted to this junky food. Make your own chicken at home with high quality chicken. Make your own Mexican food at
Yes,
home with quality ingredients. I do
yes.
it all the time. I post pictures on the forums of the different foods I put together. The pizza, same thing with any pizza joint. They use tons of refined crap in their food. It destroys your heart health. It destroys your cholesterol levels. Prep your own
Steve,
food.
Steve, even if you made your own junk food, it will still have less preservatives, less things that increase the shelf life of things in the supermarket. And if you do cook healthy, and this is really important, and it's well worth hammering this particular point home again and again and again. But number one is, and I mentioned it already, Steve, every single log that was the most successful in terms of the outcome that a person wanted on our forums has food prep. Every single one. The ones that post up rice with a handful of colorful vegetables, clean cuts of beef, clean cuts of pork, clean cuts of chicken, skinless chicken, the ones that take a little bit of time to learn how to season their food, the ones that are eating fruit, the ones that get their daily intake of fiber, the ones that if they have to have a snack, it's a handful of dry walnuts. These ones, that doesn't sound sexy, but these people are having the best success. I'll use myself as an example. See, fuck it. I've talked about on other shows doing a cut for all of 4 weeks and then a bulk. I won't go the ins and outs of the dog's ass in that particular regards because we've done it many times. But I food prepped. I literally went to the supermarket. They brought some little safe plastic tubs that are reusable for a few times, and then you bin them off. And I went and brought a big tray of chicken breast from Lidl's, 5 kilos, 11 pounds of chicken breast. I went and got some steak. I went back. I like sweet potato. I don't eat it enough. Went back onto the sweet potato. Got a handful of vegetables to mix in with rice and pre-prep this stuff. And honestly, Steve, this is how easy prepping is. Really is, right? And I can't understand people that say almost I haven't got time. Just get up early on the fucking Sunday morning, guys, before you have a bit of family time with your chicken breast, with your steak, with your vegetables, with your rice, and just what do I do right now, Steve? Even with that, and this is what I was doing with my food prep. I would cook 2 lots of food instead of 1 lot of food. It's only me eating it, but instead of having just a couple of beef patties on the grill or a couple of chicken breasts on the grill or whatever, I would put 4 patties on. Certainly 4 chicken breasts, and then put 2 of those to one side So now I've got my food ready for tomorrow. If I train my ass off, if I'm literally struggling because I'm doing a cut with a little bit less energy, then I've literally saved myself from having to cook food for tomorrow. And that's just the simplest way of doing it. The best way to do it, I used Samson earlier on as an example, is a week, or in Samson's case, 2 weeks at a time. He knows what he's got to eat. He knows what he needs to support his size and strength. He knows how he's going to respond to the PEDs from Beligas. So he knows how much food to cook ahead of time. His wife is the one that's cutting here and weighing stuff there. This is what you need to eat today, and so on, especially as it comes down to competition. And the same thing applies to you guys. Imagine you've set yourself the challenge of getting into the best shape of your life. You don't have to be a giant, freakish bodybuilder. You just literally want to be the best you've ever been for hitting the beach. Using Beligas testosterone, using Pro-Winstrol 20, for example, from Beligas, just to get into the best shape you've ever done. And there's 8 weeks to go. You're already kind of in shape, but you want to be in that kind of shape. Fucking sharp like a diamond. Right, so 8 weeks. You've only got to do, just using Samson's example, 4 lots of food prep. Steve's talked about having rice cookers and slow cookers.
Yeah, yeah. Let me touch on
Yeah,
this a couple minutes.
just give them some examples of the stuff that you've done, Steve, so the listeners can use this
So
for
let me get
themselves.
yeah, let me give you some tips and tricks here. So first of all, come on the forum and check out how the top guys on our forum are eating. Check out how you can come on and look at my log. You can come on and look at Mobster's log. Mobster does a lot of training, but I do a lot of I show you guys how to make a healthy pizza. We're not saying you can't enjoy pizza, you can't enjoy burgers. That's not what we're saying. We're saying make them yourself. Come on the forum. I post pictures of a pizza that I make at home which doesn't fuck my stomach up, doesn't fuck my
I've
girlfriend.
I've made burgers, I've made sausages, I make my own ice cream. I've done the others in the past, but
Yeah, so
all of
let
those,
me.
they're not. It's real easy.
So what's amazing on our forums is the Australians. They eat such a amazing diet and they look fantastic. They blow away in Americans. The tight waist, the abs. I mean, it's insane. Like these guys have never even used steroids before, but they have tight waists and they already have abs. So just imagine what using the Balaga steroids on top of what, and a lot of them are using Balagas. It's a popular brand in Australia too, as well as America and Britain. But they're using steroids on top of it, some of these guys, and they have amazing physiques, the V shape and everything. So come check out their logs, and you too do a log where you start eating healthy. You can invest in a grill, rice cooker, air fryer, and there's so many different things that you can do, guys. But at home, it's very, very important. Don't use those spray-on oils. Don't use the refined oils when you cook your food. Just a little bit. What I use is I use a little bit, okay, of unrefined cold pressed coconut oil. That's all I use. Just a little bit of it. Make sure it's the good quality coconut oil. That's it. Because too much coconut oil is not good for you either. So just use a little bit and it's a neutral situation. But I don't use any vegetable oils or canola oil or any refined oils that these fast food joints use. You got to stay away from that shit. All right. So please, make sure. And at the end of the day, burgers. Mobster said burgers. I cook burgers on the grill. I'll buy like 3 pounds of burgers. I'll smash them into patties and I'll put them on the grill and I'll slow cook them on the grill. Okay. And I'll have burgers for days. Food prepping. I get boxes. I put them in the boxes. Okay. And I food prep. I make salad. I food prep salad. I food prep the chicken. I food prep all the stuff. It's very important when you're getting beef to get grass fed beef. It's very important when you're getting chicken to get the hormone free chicken, the high quality organic chicken. Because the low quality chicken is full of polyunsaturated fats. So even if you prep at home and you're using crappy ingredients, it's still not going to be where you want it to be. It's going to be better than fast food, but it's still not going to be where you want to be. So it's important to spend a little more on high quality eggs, on high quality chicken, on high quality beef. Very, very important. Just talk about steroid cycle ideas with healthy food, mobster. And at the end of the day, as I said earlier, it's very important not to get in your body's way. That's the key to anything when it comes to fitness. And you learn this the hard way when you're running triathlons and you're running marathons. Do you really think that these guys, before they're running triathlons or marathons, wake up in the morning and go down to McDonald's and get a Egg McMuffin before they run their marathon. They'd be fucking on the side of the fucking road during their marathon throwing up. So why are you using steroids and throwing shit at your body? Does that make sense? It doesn't make any fucking sense. So you got to eat healthy. So I talk about the trend example. Mobster brought up Winstrol. I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to just recomp and have a nice physique to your frame. And you're like, you've been eating fast food, you've been eating pizza, you've been eating junk, you've been drinking all this stuff. And you're like, fuck it. I want to fucking get in best shape of my life. Let's do this. I want to do a recomp. Get on some Primo from Beligas. It's very smooth injection. Get on some Anavar from Beligas. Run the Primo 500 milligrams a week. Run the Anavar 30 to 50 milligrams a week. Okay? And then run a little testosterone from Beligas. Beligas has so many testosterone options. And I've used their testosterone. It is smooth and it is fantastic. And you can absolutely mix the testosterone and Primo together in the same syringe. Just a little bit of testosterone, maybe 100, 150 milligrams of testosterone. But let the Primo and the Anavar run the cycle for you and do it 12 weeks. You can run the Anavar to start or to finish. And eat fucking clean. Food prep. I food prep twice a week. I do it once on the weekend. I do it once during the week. Okay? So tomorrow, I'm gonna food prep. We're recording this podcast on a Tuesday, so I did food prep on Saturday, and then now tomorrow I'm gonna food prep again, which is Wednesday. So I'll do it either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, some point in the week. And you food prep twice a week. You store your containers, you put them in the fridge. Then you can take your food out of the fridge and literally whatever needs to be warmed up, you can warm it up in the microwave. Boom. After a minute, minute and a half, boom. Now your food is done. Okay. And do this for 12 weeks. You will fucking transform your body on this cycle. Another option too, if you wanted something a little different, you could do equipoise instead of the Primo. Do the exact same cycle, but throw in the Belagas equipoise and do a shit ton of cardio, fasted cardio every morning. You will fucking recomp yourself and you will cut like you wouldn't believe on this cycle. It's fantastic. So that's something you can go shoot for. You will feel so much better, okay, when you're eating
Yes.
clean. You will,
And get better results, Steve.
and you'll
And get
shit
better
when you
results.
take a shit, okay? It's gonna be such a cleaner experience, and it's gonna be so much under control. You're not gonna be
Gonna
running to
take
the.
pictures of it.
I can't tell you
So proud.
how disgusting it is when I
Yes,
go to a
man.
sporting event and people are taking
Absolutely. Yeah.
taking a
Oh
shit
God.
during the
God.
sporting event. Why do you have to go to a sporting event and take a shit? People are pissing and peeing all over the fucking toilet and they're using the toilet. And
Oh
you
man.
want to
Yeah,
sit
yeah.
on that? Why? Why do you not have control over your own bowels? Because you were in tailgating before the game, eating
Yes. Crap.
sausage and,
Yes.
and, and oily burgers and all
And
this
your body
garbage.
just wants to get rid of it, Steve. Your body
Yeah,
knows it's toxic. It knows alcohol's
yeah.
toxic. It wants to get rid of it. Look, I mean, I like the fact that, for example, Beligas does blends here, Steve. I'm looking at one which, with a proper diet, you would get amazing results from. For example, I'm looking at this particular one, Steve. It's Test Trend Bold Blend 400. And that's testosterone enanthate, 150 milligrams a mil. Bolderon on declinate, 150 milligrams a mil, and Trenbolone enanthate, 150 milligrams a mil. One of the things when we talked about Tren in the past, Steve, we say how it's food partitioning, meaning that you almost channel carbs straight to where they need to be in the body, that the protein goes straight to where it needs to be in the body. We know that testosterone and steroids increase protein uptake. There's almost sometimes, Steve, I think you've touched on this before when we talked about Tren, that you need to be hydrated and you need to have your food on point because you can have almost a sort of sweaty hypoglycemic type thing going on because of how quickly the food, the nutrients, the better nutrients are being utilized. And you need to make sure that you're ready and you understand this process. But for me, Steve, this with a great diet, I'd probably run this if I was a typical listener for this show. I would probably run this at around 800 milligrams, maybe a little bit less because I prefer less, 600 to 800 milligrams. So that's a mil and a half per week. I would probably split it into 2 injections here, Steve, maybe 3, but probably 2. So say Monday and Thursdays. And if my diet was on point, if my cardio was on point, I might even, Steve, include a little bit of Tyranobol from Beligas, purely and simply because that helps with some of the effects that trend has on your cardiovascular ability, and I want to maintain as much as I possibly can, because doing my cardio, getting my steps in, doing whatever it is that I like to do cardio, riding the bike, rowing the machine, whatever else, and a clean diet will give me some of the best results I would ever have had. Absolutely.
And
I've
then
used, yeah, go on,
I was
go
going
on.
to say, if you want to do bulking, Mobster mentioned Winstrol and Toronto from Belagas for cutting. But if you wanted to go the bulking route,
Yeah,
doing a healthy diet is going to help you build more quality mass and
yes.
strength than you would eating
Let me
sloppy.
just touch on that for a second, Steve,
And
because
two, yeah, let me just mention two of them. Belagas has an excellent Dianabol, and they have an excellent Anadrol. And I've tried their Anadrol. It's fantastic. You can go with the Dianabol 30 milligrams a day. You can go with the
yep,
Anadrol 25 to 50 milligrams a day, and you'll
yep.
have an amazing bulking experience. So touch on that. We have a minute left, and then
Yeah, I
take some
mean, I'm
listeners.
just thinking about this particular one, Steve, and the bulk is a very good example. I'm looking actually at their Dynabol Light 10, and they've got Proanadrol 50s. These are great ones for bulking up for some people. The Proanadrol can actually be both. It depends on how you respond to it. Look, here's a great example, and this is another reason why if visual macros needs to die. Occasionally, I will see people, including listeners to this show, bulk up, get a little bit fluffy, don't like the kind of bulked up look. They've put on a little bit too much water, a little bit too much body fat, and then they immediately kind of almost, oh my God, look how out of shape I am. I need to get back in shape. And so why do we, Steve and I, bang the drum about lean muscle gains more? Because 5 pounds of muscle versus 10 pounds of bulk, I fat, water, and muscle, 5 pounds of muscle just looks fucking better. And it goes back to that fuel thing again, Steve. The difference between how you look using an if it fits your macros approach and results versus a cleaner approach and the results from that stack, from that cycle, assuming everything else was the same. I would argue that in those people's example, the immediate need to suddenly clean up your diet and do more cardio to get back in shape because you decided to bulk up and it got a bit away from you was the reason why we'd have you forgetting if it fits your macros, eating clean, and getting the fucking best results. Listen, guys, what do you think on the whole if it fits your macros? Are you still trying to work that magic trick and the secret that no one else has told you? Or have you realized, as I think we've tried to explain, that better fuel in gives you better results out? And especially when you're using a good source like Beligas with farmer quality, because they are an actual farmer brand products of so many pages here, Steve, with both the EU, UK, worldwide aspect, as well as the domestic market of the US. Lots of choices there, guys. Honestly, I think there's about 100 different choices, including brands of products. Please note, we are not doctors and the opinion ours. It is our view and based on our experience and views on the topic. A podcast are for informational purposes and entertainment only. The freedom of speech and the First Amendment applies.